Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And let's get into the recapping the week. Starting off back on Thursday night when Packers took on the Commanders. And the score might make it seem like it was closer than it actually was. I mean, Green Bay, they might be the best team. I don't want to say that just because, it is early in the season and sometimes teams look better than they actually are, but Green Bay does look great. Um, Clearly Micah Parsons was the missing piece to that defense. I mean, Jordan Love has looked phenomenal through 2 weeks, not making the bad mistakes he had been making, which is great to see from a QB. Um, it is sad to see Jaden Reed go down. He'll be out for a decent amount, so maybe Wicks or Watson or even Golden can step up. We saw Tucker Kraft have a great game. And Green Bay looks like the for real deal. We'll see, if they continue to play like this throughout the year. But they've played two supposed to be contenders in the NFC, and they have dominated them. So we'll see. For Washington, um, I mean, maybe Cliff Kingsbury, just like the same thing that happened with Kyler Murray. People are starting to figure out his offense with Jaden Daniels, and he's going to get stopped. Now, I hope he makes I hope he changes the way he did with Kyler and changes up the offense to where they can adapt to how defenses are playing them. But so far through 2 games, the offense hasn't looked the greatest. And their biggest issue, which was edge rusher entering the offseason, they never tried to really, they never really tried to look, they never really tried to invest assets into that position. They brought in old Von Miller and a bunch of other guys that they had last year, and even at corner, you know, those were the two biggest issues. And this game really exposed why they really need to get somebody like that. But impressive win for the Packers and for Washington, and Jaden Daniels couldn't miss next week's game against the Raiders. I hope he doesn't, because you never want to see anybody get injured. But oh boy, it was a week of injuries, and Washington hoping to at least have their quarterback out there. Austin Eckler out for the year. Um, just sad to see guys get injured, and you hope that they can have a speedy recovery and be back on the field in no time. Moving on to the Sunday slate, starting off Ravens at Browns. And this Ravens offense, I don't know what it is, but last week they looked amazing, but the defense was horrible. And then this week it was the opposite. The offense wasn't that great. I know 41 points looks amazing, and Lamar did have a pretty good game, but they only scored 10 points in the first half and really were struggling to get any offense against a Browns defense, which is really good. And then they just kind of took advantage of Cleveland's offense, making fumbling the ball, turning it over, and getting scores. Um, but the defense looked much better. Roquan Smith, Nate Wiggins making plays all over the field. So if the Ravens can get last week's offense and this week's defense more consistently, they can be a Super Bowl contender. But we'll just have to see. The Ravens couldn't run the ball, which is supposed to be their specialty. Derrick Henry with another fumble. Um, so if Baltimore's offense can be consistently playing better, you know, and if how much does this really say about Buffalo's defense, which looked really good against the Jets but couldn't stop Baltimore? Is this more an indictment on Buffalo, how Buffalo's defense is bad? I don't know, but good win. You bounce back. They have a huge one on Monday Night Football this week against the Lions. So we'll see how that one goes. For Cleveland, I mean, it's what you expected. Close early, but Baltimore took advantage in the second half from Flacco making turnovers. Um, Nate Wiggins picked the fumble that Roquan scooped up for a touchdown, the blocked punt. Um, the defense, I mean, that was kind of like how I thought the season was going to go. The defense was going to be one of the best in football, or at least like top 15, and we're going to um, play well. It's just their offense wasn't going to be able to do anything. And so far through 2 weeks, their special teams has let them down. And 0-2 start, not great. Dylan Gabriel did come in late, throw a touchdown pass. Um, we'll see how long Cleveland maybe keeps Kevin Stefanski because you know how much longer does Cleveland keep him? I know he's won 2 Coach of the Years and he's brought in Cleveland their most success in that forever, but it's like how many losses does it take for Cleveland to realize maybe, just maybe Stefanski, you know, while put in a bad situation, hasn't exactly, been one of those coaches where like he can just make the team look better than it actually is. We'll have to see, but bad loss for the Browns. Rough offensively, but the defense really came to play, and we'll just have to see how much of this was just AFC North battle and how much we can really take away from it. Moving on to the Rams at the Titans. LA early, it did not look very good. I mean, they had, the early touchdown but it didn't exactly look like the Rams were playing the greatest. But second half, this veteran led team came to play in that second half and dominated Tennessee. Devontae Adams had a great game. Puka Nacua had a great game. Stafford played well. Defense really hunkered down in the second half. And 2-0 is 2-0. And LA looking like a formidable unit. They got the Eagles next week. That'll be a very interesting game, especially the way Philly's been playing so far. For Tennessee, Cam Ward, another impressive game. Another stat sheet, will make it seem like he hasn't been good, but it's more so because his receivers are dropping the ball and Tennessee's offensive line has been struggling to protect it, but he's still made plays. I mean, that one play where like it seemed like he was going to fall to the ground and just shoveled it to I think it was Calvin Ridley for to get a first down. I mean, how much longer is Brian Callahan? That's another thing. How much longer is he going to be um, the coach in Tennessee? I mean, another brutal loss where it's like Tennessee had the opportunity to win, and then coaching just kind of let them down. We'll see. But Cam Ward, impressive. Um, you just got to take away Cam Ward looking good and hope that maybe whoever the next head coach is going to be able to make this team look a lot better than it has been. Moving on to Jags at Bengals, and I mean, sad news to hear yesterday that Joe Burrow is going to be out 3 months and maybe not even come back, depending on what Cincinnati looks like at that point. Um, so hope Burrow has a steady recovery and hope he gets back. But still an impressive win by the Bengals team. I mean, usually when you lose your quarterback, or they get injured and are trying to play through it, usually the other team wins. But Jake Browning, despite throwing 3 picks, played really good. And Cincinnati's 2-0. I mean, if you're a Bengals fan, despite Joe Burrow being injured and despite um the team trying to lose these games. They're 2-0. You have to be happy with that. Um, the defense, I mean, it made some plays, um, to get to help out Cincinnati. Um, but we'll just have to see how well Jake Browning and this team plays. Because if he plays like he did in this game throughout the rest of the year, it might be hard for Cincinnati to too many wins. But if he can look better, um, then I think he has a real shot of helping this team at least be semi-competitive when Burrow returns. For Jacksonville, I mean, this was a winnable game. I mean, T. Law another double-digit interception game, and I saw that he's 0-13 when he throws more than one interception a game, but I mean, and I know everybody wants me to talk about Brian Thomas Jr. and the lack of effort, and he wasn't really trying to catch the ball because defenders were coming at him. I don't think that's that much of an issue. I think, it's just early season jitters. I think it'll be resolved. But I mean, this Jacksonville team had an opportunity to have a huge win against the Bengals team, and they just let it slip away. I mean, they had multiple opportunities to make it a double-digit score lead. They had like Jake Browning threw 3 interceptions and you know gave Jacksonville opportunities, but they just couldn't take advantage. Um, I think they play Houston next week. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they do. And I mean, if Jacksonville loses that game, they fall to 1-2, and Houston gets a huge win to get their first one of the year. I don't know. This could be the same old Jags team, but if they get a huge impressive win where the team looks better against a really good Houston defense, then I might be optimistic. But it's just this Jags team had so many opportunities to win this game, and yet somehow failed to. Um, but hopefully Burrow, prayers up that he's going to be good. Moving on to Bills at Jets. This game is a lot closer than what the score says it was. Because it like the score makes it seem like Buffalo dominated the game and there was no shot that the Jets were going to win. But this was close. It's just Justin Fields, leaving the game with a concussion. Um, hurt this Jets team, and they just committed so many penalties that if you don't commit those penalties, then it's a much closer. So it's like the score makes it seem like Buffalo dominated from start to finish. They didn't. It was a close game. The Bills just were the more disciplined team and also didn't have a QB get injured. Even though Josh Allen did have a um, bloody nose, James Cook looks as good as he always has. Buffalo's defense, played much better against a similar rushing attack like Baltimore did, so it looked better. Um, 2-0 is 2-0. The Bills have a pretty much cupcake game. I don't want to say cupcake because this is a division game, but against Miami this week, so should be 3-0. For the Jets, an 0-2 start's not the greatest, especially you know, especially like last week's game. They had a chance to win it, and then this week, um, hopefully Justin Fields can play, and hopefully this Jets team can get back to playing much better football. But a tough loss. Um, but Buffalo 2-0 is 2-0, and hey, top of the AFC. Moving on to Patriots and Dolphins, other AFC's clash. And New England, I mean, Drake May looked much better. Um, they didn't have him throwing like 40 times like they did last week, which I didn't really understand that. Like, why were they having him throw, so many passes when it's like they could run the ball, chew up clock, but they play this game much better. Drake May looked outstanding. Um, and I mean, New England looks really good. The defense played much. I mean, the defense played. Yeah, I mean, they played much better. I feel like they were able to make crucial stops. Um, I mean, they only gave up 20 points because of the punt return that Miami had. Um, so looked really good. I mean, Mike Vrabel. I mean, we knew he was going to turn this New England team into what it was like with Bill Belichick, a disciplined team that isn't going to lose games, that have bad um series. So good win to be 1-1. You never want to start 0-2, and this team could be a sneaky playoff team if they play like this. For Miami, I mean, another just bad loss. I know the offense looked decent in the second quarter, and it seemed like maybe they were starting to figure things out, but I mean, they just couldn't do a thing after that. If it wasn't for that punt return touchdown, this game might have been a little bit of a bigger score. Tua with another turnover. I mean, the defense, which that defensive line was supposed to be really good, has not performed. And we all know that secondary is horrible. Um, and Mike McDaniel in the um after game press conferences with the reporters. I mean, I think he maybe just knows he's going to be fired, and if this Thursday game against the Bills goes the way most people believe it will, they'll be surprised if come Friday morning Mike McDaniel and Chris Gear are finally fired, and Miami can hopefully move on to being a better run franchise, but just don't look good, and hoping some change will happen in the foreseeable future. San Fran at New Orleans. I mean, I said Mac Jones was gonna look really good. Kyle Shanahan is one of those QB whisperers where it's like he's gonna get anything out of his quarterbacks no matter what. Um, and I mean, they looked really good despite being injured, and that just goes to show you that like it doesn't matter really who's quarterbacking this team, who's on offense, because Kyle Shanahan's gonna make it work. And now with Robert Saleh at DC, the Niners are going to get an opportunity to maybe be a playoff contender this year. And Mac Jones showed that like, hey, he maybe should have been the pick back in 2021 instead of Trey Lance, and maybe there's a whole different story. Maybe Jones is seen as like this top 10 quarterback instead of a backup, but looked really good. And San Fran 2-0 with two huge road victories for the Saints. Um, Looked really good. Spencer Rattler had his best day as a pro. Um, slicing up a Robert Saleh defense, which Sam Darnold couldn't do last week. Rattler was able to do it. And I mean, New Orleans still, I mean, they're going to be a rebuilding team. So, they're probably not going to be the greatest this year, but it's all about how this team looks. And they look like a really competitive group. Like, they kind of remind me of like the Cardinals from 2023. Like, everybody was thinking Arizona's going to be a disaster. They're going to finish with 1 or 2 wins. And while they only finished with 4 wins, the team was very, very competitive in most of their games. And I think New Orleans can be the same. Like they can be competitive. They can give teams scares. And that's all you're asking for is to see that this team can look better than it is on paper. Kellen Moore, I think, is doing a phenomenal job. And yeah, they're 0-2, but it's like this team has looked better than a really an 0-2 team. So it's like, well, they're not going to be great this year. There's at least some building blocks where it's like you can see this team, if they get, the right pieces on this team, they could be a formidable unit. Moving on to arguably, I mean, maybe this was game of the year over Bills Ravens. The Cowboys, I mean, this offense looked as good as it did early on against the Eagles. I mean, Dak looked amazing, which we all kind of knew Dak was going to play well. And I mean, him, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, who had his first Cowboys touchdown, even Javonte Williams, who's had a kind of a career renaissance, um, playing really well. And I mean, this Dallas offense, not defense, is looking great. And, you know, if this team, I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to be a Super Bowl contender, but it's like if this team can get the defense intact, I mean, they could be a formidable unit and challenge some of the top NFC teams in the league. And I mean, that defense didn't look the greatest against Giants. Offense that splurged points all over. But came up with some huge stops late in that game to help Dallas be in this game, and that's all you can ask for. For the Giants, I mean, disappointing loss, but I mean, Russell Wilson turning the clock back. I mean, he looked like Seattle Russ, just slinging it around. And I mean, all those talks about Jackson Dart and how, the Giants need to start him. I think, like I said, they don't need to start him this early in the season. And I think as long as Russ, maybe he doesn't play this well, but as long as he plays in the middle of like how he's played in the first two games, where it's like maybe 250, 300 yards, couple touchdowns, and this offense looks confident, I think that's you could ask for. And then, I mean, this defense couldn't stop Dallas's offense, even though Dallas's offense is really good. Um, but I mean, the positive you take away as a Giants fan is this offense looks much better than it has been the past couple of years. Um, but also maybe Brian Daboll should have been fired after the season. I mean, the way um, he coached this offense in the overtime wasn't the greatest, but you know, I think this offense showed that Russ can play really well and make sure this team is really good. I just think they maybe need a better head coach to really get this team going. Moving on to the Lions, hosting the Bears, and I mean Detroit wanted to. I mean they wanted to get that bad taste of Week 1 when they looked horrible against Green Bay, and this maybe proves that Green Bay's defense is just that great. I mean Jared Goff, Gibbs, J-Mo, Sam Laporta didn't even really have the greatest game. Amon-Ra. I mean this offense looked amazing, belt to ass. I mean the Lions just destroyed Chicago, and that's what you asked for. You know, Detroit came out wanting to get that bad taste of last week out, and they did. Dominating win, 1-1. They head to Baltimore this week um, for Monday night, so that'll be a big game for them. And we'll see what both Baltimore and Detroit are made of after dominating Week 2 wins for the Bears. I mean, is this worst case scenario? I mean, Chicago last week had literally everything go right for them until the fourth quarter when JJ McCarthy looked amazing, and he didn't look the greatest this week. So maybe that's looking worse on Chicago now. But I mean, is Caleb Williams regressing as a quarterback? I mean, I know we all expected him to take this huge leap now with Ben Johnson, but this offense doesn't really look the greatest. The defense now without Jalen Johnson, it seems like definitely because he's out. Um, it seems like going to be for a while. And I mean, Detroit just dominated them. They were the better team. I thought this was going to be a closer game because I thought, you know, it was like I thought maybe Chicago was going to, keep it in. Early on, it was close, but they just got dominated in the second half. And I mean, Chicago. We all thought Ben Johnson was going to be the savior, but maybe it just isn't really the greatest. Um, Moving on to Seattle at Pittsburgh. And I mean, talk about the Seahawks. I mean, impressive win. Um, that defense came to play like it always did, and that offense looked much better than it was in week one. Kenneth Walker looked good. Sam Darnold did have two picks, but two huge touchdowns. JSN with another good game. Torrey Horton came to play, the rookie from Colorado State. I mean, if Seattle's offense can be like 70% of what it was today throughout the rest of the year, they could be a formidable unit and really be able to um stay in games with how good that defense is. A huge road win, especially coast to coast going to Pittsburgh. But Seattle looked really good, and hey, I mean the Seahawks team, you know, especially in that second half, they really that defense played excellent in the second half, shutting down Pittsburgh's offense. And Seattle against a supposed to be really good Pittsburgh defense kind of just did whatever they wanted. Pittsburgh, I mean, maybe it was just week one, and maybe it was the Jets defense because Buffalo played well against them too. But I mean, they just looked flat in the second half. And outside of a DK Metcalf touchdown and the 2-point conversion, Pittsburgh's offense couldn't really do anything. Like it seemed like they literally were stuffed. I mean, this offensive line might be worse than we all thought it was. And Aaron Rodgers getting pummeled to the ground, and that's not a great sign for a guy who's going to be 42 in December. Um, but Pittsburgh's offense can't run the ball and can't really do much. And that defense, I mean, Seattle was able to go up and down the field on it like it was a bottom 10 defense. I don't know um, what's going on. Pittsburgh's defense is supposed to be superb, but so far through 2 weeks, it has not looked good at all. And I don't want to say it, but maybe this is the first year Tomlin doesn't go over 500. I mean, I don't want to, say that this early in the season, but with how bad this defense has looked so far, and if unless their offense, plays as amazing as it did in week one, I feel like Pittsburgh isn't going to win as many games as it usually does. And hey, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe Pittsburgh can finally be able to move into a brighter future. But Seattle, really impressive win. And Pittsburgh, I mean, uninspired. At least it seemed the team was throughout the game, at least in the second half. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games, Denver at Indy, and I mean, we might have all been wrong about Daniel Jones. I mean, he has looked impressive in back-to-back weeks, especially against a really good Broncos defense. I mean, he was making excellent plays. Jonathan Taylor looked really good, especially catching the ball. Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. I mean, this Indy offense. might be a top 10 unit like it was back in 2023 when Gardner Minshew and Indy might have just found their franchise guy. I mean, I don't want to say, but Daniel Jones has looked really good, and maybe he just needed a change of scenery, like we've seen with a lot of guys. Um, Indy's defense has looked much improved with Lou Anarumo now as the DC, and hey, with Houston struggling and with Jacksonville not really, looking that great, the Colts could be the front runners if this offense plays it good as it has been through 2 weeks. For Denver, Bo Nix back to I think it was more so a week 1 thing. Bo Nix played well. They had the INC late, but looked pretty good. J.K. Dobbins, um, and the rushing game looked better. Denver's defense, I mean, Pat Surtain did get injured, but it wasn't that serious because he was back in the game. But Um, that's something to monitor. But Denver looked, the offense looked really good and back to what it was in week 1. The defense, I mean, maybe Daniel Jones and this Colts offense is just really good and Denver just couldn't stop it. But I mean, Daniel Jones, it seems like everybody was wrong about the guy. And with the Giants 0-2, maybe it wasn't Daniel Jones that was the problem. Maybe it was Brian Daboll. Um, Moving on to Panthers at the Cardinals. Arizona dominated this game through 3 quarters, and it seemed like they were going to roll to an easy victory. And then for some reason, they just decided not to. Um, it seemed like they just, eh. It seemed like they just didn't really try to run the ball with James Conner and milk the clock, which most teams would do up double digits in the fourth quarter. They were more so just kind of rolling Kyler Murray out, which led to an interception by Murray, which later led to a Hunter Renfrow touchdown, and he looked rejuvenated. The Arizona defense came up clutch late in the game to save Arizona from a humiliating loss. And I mean, Arizona, a win is a win, like we always say, but 2 back-to-back games where it's like they couldn't really put away these teams. And it's like, what are they going to do when they play a really good team and they get up? Are they going to, let that team back into the game and give them an opportunity to win it? We'll just have to see. But a win is a win, as everybody likes to say. For Carolina, I mean, Bryce Young early on, it looked like, oh, geez, is he regressing as a quarterback? But great in the second half, impressive. Um, you know, and that's just kind of what Carolina needs. Bryce Young to look better than he did last year. Like he needs to look more like he was supposed to come in out of college, and he looked much better than week 1. Which I mean, everybody was saying, "Oh, Bryce Young's horrible, trash. Carolina needs to get a new quarterback." He looked really good. Um, Especially against an Arizona defense, which is supposed to be one of the better units in the league. Ted McMillan looked really good. As I said, Hunter Renfrow looked really good. And this defense, I mean, it's the Cardinals offense, and Arizona seemingly is like 1 week they're great, the next week they're not great. But the defense played really good in that second half. Outside of the early touchdown they gave up, it looked really good. And the Panthers, these are building blocks. Like if Bryce Young plays like this throughout 4 quarters, and if the defense can start, playing better, they could have a shot to win some of these games and, you know, not make the playoffs, but at least look more competent than they have. And this was a huge, I think, momentum booster for this team, really to move forward. Um, moving on to Super Bowl 59 rematch, Eagles at Chiefs, sparking a lot of controversy because tush push. Everybody's saying it should be banned after Dean Blandino said it's hard to officiate, and everybody's looking at these replays um of like Eagles offensive linemen, going off sides, and that's a whole nother conversation. Philly, despite Jalen Hurts not looking the greatest, and I know Eagles fans are gonna probably say, "How dare you?" Jalen Hurts is a top five quarterback or whatever, but he has not looked good in the first 2 weeks. Like I think he only has like 253 passing yards, 77 rushing yards. Philly is 2-0, so the team's kind of winning despite Hurts not playing the greatest. Saquon with a huge touchdown, the defense making plays. Um, but it is something to say because like when Philly plays a team that has a really good offense, like next week with the Rams, how are they going to be able to fight fire with fire, or is this passing attack going to be exposed for how bad it's looked? The defense played well. Kansas City, um, the defense looked better than it did in week one, and I think we'll get back to how good it is. But I mean, Mahomes is basically out there as the entire team. I mean, the running game can't do anything, as you see, he was the leading rusher of the team. So Pacheco and Hunt just haven't been able to do anything. Travis Kelsey maybe is washed. I mean, I know it's only 2 games, but that huge, costly drop that led to the pick by Andrew Makuba that turned what could have been a touchdown and Casey taking the lead into Philly getting the ball and going down and scoring. Um, so Mahomes is really just out there by himself. And it's the first time since 2014, Andy Reid's second year as the Chiefs coach, that um this team started 0-2. And I mean, they got a huge match in a couple weeks against the Ravens. And if Casey's 1-3 through their first 4 games, I mean, I don't want to say they're going to miss the playoffs because it's the Chiefs, but the way the Chargers have looked and the way Denver and Vegas have both looked so far, I don't know. Casey might be finally getting dethroned in the um, AFC West. Moving on to Sunday night football, Falcons at the Vikings. And Atlanta's defense is much improved, much improved. I mean, and I know this is a Minnesota offense that didn't look the greatest, and J.J. McCarthy is apparently injured. One of several QBs that got injured, and plenty of other players. It's kind of a sad weekend to see a lot of guys go down. Um, but Atlanta's defense looked really, really good. And this was kind of what I was expecting from J.J. McCarthy. You know, has some high moments where it's like he looks like he's going to be a future star, and he has some low lows. And, 2 picks, I think 2 fumbles, I want to say, like, he just, a young QB making his second ever start. And it's just, you know, we'll see what Carson Wentz does this week against the Bengals in a battle of the backups because Joe Burrow's out. Um, Meanwhile, Atlanta, the offense, I mean, the offense hasn't looked as good as I thought it was going to be. I mean, just like in the Bucks game, they can't really convert in the red zone, which is going to be a big problem when they take on the top tier teams. But Atlanta looked really good. The offense did what it had to. Parker Romo, coming back against the Vikings because he kicked last year um, for time for Minnesota, looked really good. And if this offense can, play better in the red zone, I think Atlanta could be a force to be reckoned with, especially with how good this defense has looked through 2 weeks. Now we'll have to see them against, better competition, but it's looked really good. And I think Atlanta maybe back, finally can get back to the playoffs and at least be a fringe wildcard team, maybe even contend for the South title with how Tampa Bay's looked. Speaking of the Bucks, they had a huge road victory against Houston. I mean, the offenses early on, it looked like it was going to be a back and forth affair. Baker and Stroud looked really good early on, and then the defenses kind of took over. Um, Tampa was able to run the ball, which was kind of the reason they kind of won. Like Bucky Irving and Rashad White did get injured, so I hope he's all right. But Bucky Irving, Rashad White, this even Baker took off a couple times. They were able to run the ball despite their two tackles. Tristan Wirfs obviously being injured and Luke Godecki getting injured and Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson were coming at um, Baker, but they were able to run the ball, which was kind of the reason they won. And you know, Baker looked good. This offense, still a work in progress with new offensive coordinator. Forgetting his name, but he's been with Tampa Bay the last 2 seasons. Um, for Houston, um, I mean, we can't all put the loss on CJ Stroud. I mean, Stroud was basically out there doing it by himself. I mean, the running game could not do anything outside of a huge 25-yard touchdown run by Nick Chubb. The offensive line, I mean, shuffled back now that everybody is at least healthy now. But Stroud, was getting pressured a lot, and he couldn't really make those plays that we're used to seeing him make. But you cannot put the loss on him. I mean, he led the huge touchdown drive late. The special teams came up with some huge plays, the block punt, the return punt, to kind of kickstart Houston's offense, which it did help. 0-2 is never a start you want, but like Houston, I think they should rebound and we'll see this team, get back to winning games. But, two hard teams, the Rams and the Bucks to play, but it's just you never want to start 0-2 and Houston they need to get this running game going. I mean, when is Joe Mixon going to be back? I don't know, but Houston's going to have to do something if they want to be competitive in games and being able to score points. Because if this offense, can't really do anything and the defense is holding down the fort, it's eventually going to break. And, Houston's got to do something about this running game. And then finally, the final game, Chargers at the Raiders, a division clash. And I mean, LA looked dominant from start to finish. Justin Herbert, another good game. Um, looked really good, really poised. Um, and yeah, LA's defense, I mean, stout against Geno Smith and the Raiders offense. And Geno, amazing against New England. 3 INTs. I know one pick was just a Hail Mary, basically. Like, it was basically a punt throw from Geno, but it's just 3 interceptions is never, a good way to help out your team. And I mean, Ashton Genty looked decent. I mean, they got to give him more carries. I know they want him to last all 17 games, but it's like, it seems like they're kind of putting the training wheels on him and not really allowing him to, you know, play the way he did at Boise State. Um, but LA has looked really good. Quentin Johnston with another good game. Keenan Allen looked good. And I mean, this defense, them and the Packers are the only teams to not give up a touchdown in the first half, I want to say. Yeah, in the first half, and LA's defense hasn't given up a touchdown at all. Or, no, bad. What am I saying? But the Chargers and Packers defenses are the only defenses that has not given up a touchdown in the first half, and this was a dominating effort. Vegas's defense did play well, forced that fumble late. Um, it was really that Quentin Johnston long touchdown that really, like, if LA doesn't get that, then it's a closer game than the score seems. But 2-0, LA's sole first place for, I think, the first time in maybe since 2021, I want to say. So it's been a while since the Chargers have been sole first place, and it's only 2 weeks, but they look really good. And if they get this running game going with Najee and Amari Hampton, and the defense plays as good as it has, I mean, LA might be a Super Bowl contender with how well they've played. But that'll do it for you guys. Um, Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And starting this week for week 3, I'll be making videos like Friday for the Thursday game, Monday for the Sunday games, and then obviously Tuesday for the Monday game. That way, I'm not making these long videos for all the games throughout the week. And that way, you guys get more content. Hope you guys hit the like button, subscribe, get notifications, hit the bell. Hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye.